Human trafficking, the facts. Human trafficking is the third most profitable criminal act following drugs and arms trafficking. More than 8% of trafficking victims are females. Annually, an estimated $9.5 billion is generated through trafficking activities, with at least $4 billion attributed to the worldwide brothel industry. So, what is trafficking exactly? Trafficking is primarily the exploitation of humans. Exploitation takes on many forms, including forcing the victims into prostitution, subjecting victims to slavery and involuntary indentured servitude, compelling the victims to commit sexual acts for the use of pornography, and deceiving victims into debt bondage. Overall, approximately 80% of trafficking involves sexual exploitation and 19% involves labor exploitation. Human trafficking also involves children. According to the United States Department of State, 50% of trafficking victims internationally are under 18. 300,000 children in the United States are at risk of becoming victims of trafficking. More than 2/3 of sex trafficked children suffer additional abuse from their traffickers. One study found that 71% of trafficked children exhibit sexual tendencies after being trafficked. Trafficked children are also more likely to abuse substances, engage in prostitution in adulthood, and either commit or be victims of criminal crimes later in life. The health effects of trafficking mostly affect women at the most. According to a study, 65% of female victims of sex trafficking sustain serious physical internal injuries, 24% experience head injuries, and 12% report broken bones. Women who have been trafficked for the purpose of sexual exploitation are at tenfold more of a risk of HIV contraction. Female trafficking victims also experience a high risk of contracting STDs, tuberculosis, and permanent damage to their reproductive organs. 68% of female trafficking victims meet the clinical criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder also. And additional facts are that New York State, New York, and other states in the United States do not have laws against trafficking. Therefore, if a victim was to come up front about being a victim of trafficking, there's really nothing the law enforcement can do about it, and a lot of times the victims end up becoming the criminals themselves. And also there are no federal laws against trafficking, but there was a bill signed by George Bush in 2000 for anti-human trafficking law, but due to the little funding of this criminal of this crime itself, there's not really much anything anyone could do. And the biggest barrier with stopping this crime is the language barrier in the different countries. Human trafficking is worldwide, so there are many language barriers that make it even harder for the law enforcement and federal agencies to actually confront the perpetrators of human trafficking. So that's a few facts on human trafficking, and I hope you all enjoy my video.